everybody. So in today's video, we'll learn about Kubernetes. First of all, we'll learn what is Kubernetes, then we'll go to its architecture and learn that how the Kubernetes architecture works. And lastly, we will learn how to set up Kubernetes on AC2 instance on our AWS cloud. So let's start. Let's start with our very first question, which is what is Kubernetes? Kubernetes is an open source container orchestration tool which is developed for automating our software deployment, scaling, and management. Kubernetes is created by Google and now is projected by Cloud Native Computing Foundation. So as I told that Kubernetes is an open source container orchestration tool. So first question which comes to our mind is what is open source? Open source is a code which is publicly accessible to everybody. Anybody can see it, modify it, distribute it. The author of the source code will make the code publicly accessible so anybody can alter it or change it or distribute the code after making some changes. Right? So this is referred as a open source. So after seeing what is open source, next part is what is container orchestration. First of all, container means a Docker container. Right? In a Docker container, let's assume that an application is running and different applications are running in different containers. So they need to communicate with each other, right? So let's take an example that we have one container for our application front end, second container for our application back end, and third container for our database. So we need to manage this three containers together, and this management of containers is done by Kubernetes. You will say that management is also done by Docker Swarm and Docker Compose. But why we use Kubernetes? So let's see that why should we use Kubernetes? So let's start with why we should use Kubernetes. To keep our application production ready, there should be less amount of failure and the downtime of the application should be also less. In further to it, the backup and restore of the application should be also maintained. And one most important thing for which the Kubernetes is famous is microservices. So there are two types of architecture, monolithic and microservices. So monolithic architecture means there is one big application and everything is going on in it. And microservices means there are a part of applications and they are combined to make one big application. So these parts of application are managed by Kubernetes and it is called container orchestration. So this is the Kubernetes architecture, and Kubernetes actually manages our whole application. So to manage our whole application, we need manager, and there are two main important parts of Kubernetes architecture, which is master node and slave node or a worker node. So Kubernetes architecture works on master slave architecture. So we have one server for master, and in master server there are different configuration files, secret file, etcd, and scheduling is going on. And on other server, which is called as worker node or slave node, in that node, our application is running in the container. So two most important things which you have to learn in this architecture is API server and kubelet. So API server is in our master node and kubelet is in our worker node. So there are many features which are provided to the master node so that they can manage all the worker nodes. So most important feature which is provided to the master node is API server. API stands for Application Programmable Interface, and this interface manages all the worker nodes. So to make the master node work or run, we have a tool which is kubectl. So kubectl is a tool which manages all the worker nodes, and in a particular worker node we have a tool which is called kubelet that manages the whole worker nodes. So in worker nodes we have kubelet tool, and in master node we have kubectl. You would be having questions like what is controller, what is etcd, what is scheduler, and what is API server. So API server is a endpoint to our Kubernetes cluster. So now what is a cluster? Cluster is a group of servers. In our Kubernetes architecture, we have a master node which is treated as one server or which is called as one server. We have second worker node which is called as second server, and then we can have many worker nodes, and each worker node is treated as different server. So combining this all servers makes a cluster. So group of all the servers is called cluster. So in cluster, there are many internal communication between the containers, and this internal communications are referred as CNI network. CNI network is a virtual network layer in which the master and worker nodes communicates internally. So there is some confusion between what is node and pod. So what is the difference between node and pod? So node is a server in which our workers are there and our containers actually run. And pod is the smallest unit of Kubernetes in which our actual application runs. So as we say that in a pod, our actual application runs. So there can be group of pods running under single node. So now let's set up our Kubernetes. So first of all, we have two different servers here. First, one is master server and second is worker server. So if you want to use Kubernetes locally, then you need to install MiniCube for that. MiniCube helps you to work with Kubernetes into your local system. So to install MiniCube, you need to go to your browser and go to the MiniCube official site and download MiniCube from there. So type MiniCube in your browser and you will get the first link here, which is MiniCube Start. Click on it, and first of all, you will get that what all you need to install MiniCube in your system. Right, next go down and select your operating system. If you are a Windows user, go here and copy all the commands and paste it, and MiniCube will be installed for you. If you are a Mac user, then go on this button, copy the command and download MiniCube from there. And last is Linux. If you are a Linux user, you can choose this button and copy the command and install MiniCube. So rather than operating system, they also provide different architectures, release types, installer type for all the different operating systems which are available. So here we are not going to download MiniCube in our local system, as we are going to use EC2 instance of our AWS cloud. So we will not install it locally. We will create a EC2 instance and will install MiniCube on our Ubuntu machine. So let's go and create first of all our EC2 instance. Let's go to the EC2 service and create our instance on which we will set up our Kubernetes. Go to launch instance and give your instance a name. We'll give your Kubernetes. Right? Next is to select our operating system. So we'll select our operating system as Ubuntu, as we want a Ubuntu instance. So next is we have to choose our instance types. So as we are on a free tier account, we are eligible for only one CPU. But to set up Kubernetes, we need two CPUs here. Of course, you will be billed, but if you terminate your instance, you will be billed less. So we have to choose T2 medium, which gives us two CPUs, right? So after selecting the instance type, we will go to the key pair part. You can create a new key pair part. When you create a new key pair, the key will be downloaded in your system. So save it at a proper place. I already have created a key pair, so I'll choose my key pair, right, which I have created. And everything else would be by default, right? Security group and all. Now we'll click on launch instance to create our instance. It will take some time to launch the instance, right? So let's wait till the instance is in running mode. At this moment, it would be in a pending mode, right? So let's wait for it. Let's refresh once. Okay. So it is initializing. So let's wait. So our instance is in running mode now. So let's connect with it, right? First of all, let's open git bash and let's go to the path where our PEM file is located. Download from it in our Kubernetes folder. So this is our pem file, right? Kubernetes.pem. We'll connect our instance here. Go to the connect part, go to the SSH client and copy the SSH link which is provided here. Go to the git bash and paste the link here. Let's wait. It will take some time. Yes. Okay, so we are in our EC2 instance now. That's clear first of all. Now, first step is to install MiniCube here. So we'll go to our browser and copy the link which I had shown earlier. So for our part, it is a Linux operating system, right? So we'll go for Linux. We'll copy the command which it gives you. Right? We'll copy this command and paste here. For MiniCube will get downloaded. Okay. Okay, so our MiniCube is installed, right? So to check that MiniCube is installed or not, we can type MiniCube and the command would be listed, right? All the commands of MiniCube would be listed here. So let's start the MiniCube. First, let's clear the screen first and fire the command MiniCube start. Okay, so we are having an error here that it says that no possible driver was detected. Okay, now understand that MiniCube is a tool, and to make MiniCube run, you need a driver. The driver can be Docker or any other virtual machine you want, but in our case, we will use Docker, right? So we have to specify the driver in the command, right? MiniCube start hyphen hyphen driver is equal to Docker, right? MiniCube start hyphen hyphen driver and Docker. Okay, so here it is saying that you don't have Docker, right? We need to first of all install Docker and then we can run our MiniCube. So to install Docker, let's go to our browser and search for install Docker. So you'll get the first link here, which is install Docker Engine on Ubuntu. Click there and copy and paste the command which it gives. Okay, so first we have to update, right? And install notifications and all, right? So first of all, we'll do that. Let's wait. It gets completed. Okay. So next command is this one, right? To call will apply Docker's official PG key. Copy the command and paste it, right? So next is use the following command to set up the repository. Copy the command and paste it. Let's clear the screen. Next is update, right? Let's update again. Will take some time to get update. Okay, so it has finished. So lastly, we will install Docker Engine, Containerd, and Docker Compose. Copy the link and paste it in the terminal. Wait. Okay. Flask. Yes. Continue and let's wait till it's get installed. The Docker is installed successfully. Now we will clear the screen and run our command, which is minikube start hyphen hyphen driver is equals to Docker. Right. So here it is saying that Docker is not having permission, right? So we have to give permission to Docker. We'll copy the command and we'll paste the command. The command is already given here in the suggestion, so no need to worry. We'll copy this command and paste it and apply and give the permission. And now again we'll give our command, which is minikube start. Right? Let's type to start hyphen driver is equals to doc. Okay, so our Kubernetes is getting downloaded, right? So let's wait till it gets download. It will take some time to get download. Let's wait. So now we are done with the Kubernetes setup, and now we'll install a major tool of Kubernetes, which is kubectl. Let's install it with sudo nap install kubectl hyphen classic. Right? Okay. So it is installed. Okay, so everything is installed for us now. Kubernetes, kubectl is installed. So now we will check our status of control panel with the kubectl command, which is kubectl get co -a. Right? So here everything is ready for us. We had learned core DNS, etcd, uh, API server, controller, kube proxy, scheduler in our architecture part, right? So this is all things are ready for us now and we can use it. So in today's video, we learned what is Kubernetes, why do we use Kubernetes, what is the architecture of Kubernetes, how the architecture works, and lastly, we learned that how to set up Kubernetes on our EC2 instance on AWS cloud. So that's it for the day. Thank you and have a pleasant day ahead.